We are into it. First of all, we are going to end all sanctuary cities.
Do you plan to separate families?
Families, I've said it before, families can be, if a family needs to be deported, if members of the family needs to be deported, then that parent needs to make a decision.
New tonight after questions from 2 News, Harriman police now confirm a shooting was linked to the Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua. It's our top story tonight on 2 News at 6. I'm Mark Cabell.
And I'm Heidi Hatch. The acknowledgement also follows an exclusive 2 News interview in which a top state investigator said the Venezuelan gang is here in Utah.
They are choosing illegal aliens over the safety and security of their own citizens and the men and women of law enforcement who are out there trying to protect their citizens. Not only did we sue today the city of Chicago, we sued the state of Illinois, we sued the mayor, we sued the governor, and we sued others. And let me be very clear, if you don't comply with federal law, you're going to be next.
Do you plan to prosecute public officials who don't help you?
What I would say is, sanctuary cities don't want to help us, that's fine. I think it's wrong, but that's fine, because I would think any elected official would want to remove public safety threats from the communities. But there's a line they can't cross.
Will there be collateral arrests?
Yes.
Well, the Trump administration recently announced federal immigration officers can now arrest people in churches and schools.
You have mentioned that there could be a hotline for people to call in to report undocumented immigrants in their communities.
It's one thing we're considering, yeah.
Governor Cox also cites a memo that Bernanke's office issued a memo calling Utah a sanctuary state.
Travis Wayne Goodsall. Trump Eyes 2025. Kind of important to have prerequisites. I got my prerequisite playlist for you so that you can understand what I'm talking about. So that when I read 3 Nephi chapter 7 for you, you'll understand in the context of the learning of the Jews. Not literal history Christians. So, verse 1. Now behold, I will show unto you that they did not establish a king over the land, but in this same year, yea, the 30th year, they did destroy upon the judgment seat, yea, did murder the chief judge of the land. This is a prophecy, which, if you know that it's from William Morgan, then you'll understand that the calendar that they're using here is the Jewish religious calendar, so that the 30th year refers to 2020. Notice this didn't really happen. A president was elected and put into office on 20th of January, despite January 6th happening. But that was the whole point here. And the people were divided one against another, and did separate one from another into the 52 states as nations. Travis, there's only 50. Really? You haven't been paying attention to the news lately? Canada is 51st state. Gaza is now 52nd. And so I don't know why Canada's complaining. You're going to become your nation again anyway. That's what it says here. But notice, 2020 came and went. 2021 came and went. Because when we go to 2021, the 31st year, in verse 14, and it came to pass in the 31st year, that they were divided into nation states. See? So 2020 was supposed to be when the federal government is destroyed, and thus they did destroy the government of the land. And the regulations of the government, in verse 6, were destroyed because of the secret combination of the friends and kindreds of those who murdered Joseph Smith, Messiah ben Joseph, and his brother Hiram. Alrighty, this is where we're at. They failed. Oakes tells us that this was just a test run to see how far they can go to destroy the federal government. Well, why would the United States want to destroy the federal government and have every state in the Union become their own independent kingdom? Seriously? Seriously? You have no clue why the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints from Brigham Young wants a kingdom instead of being a participant in the United States of America. Huh. Unbelievable. So the Book of Mormon is true. Isn't that amazing? It exposes who the great and abominable church is, seeking to overthrow the government. And so, in Trump ICE 2025 news, yesterday, or Sunday now, he did his little plane thing and talked about how he's got the Sharpie guy put to work now and changing Gulf of America to Gulf of Mexico into Gulf of America. And so Sunday was Gulf of America Day 2025, celebrating the changeover. And then he also had eliminating the Federal Executive Institute. That was yesterday that he did that thing. And that, according to the webpage, was an executive order by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, for which I am destroying both, including Section 301 of Title III United States Code and Section 4117 of Title V United States Code. It is hereby ordered. Section 1, Purpose and Policy. It is the policy of the United States to treat taxpayer dollars responsibly. That's why I put Musk in charge of it. He won't steal it. No, not at all. He's responsible. It's not like he goes into a business that he takes over and then ruins it and destroys it. Turns it into a porn name. Isn't his son named X or something like that too? What the hell? Advance unifying priorities like a stronger and safer America. And so he goes into the history. Federal Executive Institute, which was created by the administration of President Lyndon B. Johnson, so I don't understand why he's doing away with it. He murdered Kennedy. More than 50 years ago. It is a government program reportedly designed to provide leadership training to bureaucrats. But bureaucrats bureaucratic leadership over the past half-century has led to federal policies that enlarge and entrench the Washington, D.C. managerial class, a development that has not benefited big business. So I put Musk in charge of it to transfer it to him. Yeah, that's all that is. All right, so, oh man, we needed to do, and it didn't cooperate. Unbelievable. So, some other stuff is that people were trying to claim that Trump is angry that there's not enough deported people out of America yet. It's just going way too slow. And so then he's asked about it, and he says, no, everything's going fine. I'm very, I approve of the work that's being done to kick out people from America, to make America white again. And so, yeah, wrong argument to make with Trump. Wrong argument. You got to talk about the sanctuary states that are secretly plotting against you, Trump, to overthrow your government and get their kingdom back. That's the ones you need to be concerned about. They're not paying Caesar what is rendered to Caesar. Okay, so the penny is gone. He ordered that the penny be stopped being produced. So all of you who've been, saving your pennies for a rainy Tuesday, it's gone. So the value of the penny just skyrocketed, especially if you have one of the, I used to know this, I used to be a numismatic. Anyway, an uncirculated, or the proof in its sealed package. So, instead of creeping death has taken a new form for this time around. See, during the first Exodus, which a man like Moses came, Mormons, he was here, he did his stuff, and apparently Pharaoh failed. But nonetheless, here we are for the reboot of their attempt. And so instead of creeping death, which still exists, and we were told in the beginning, if we don't stop it immediately, it will continue to exist forever. And we didn't want to listen to medical doctors, did we? People in southern Utah thought they knew better and were the butt of jokes on late-night comedy as a result. Especially that elderly woman. Oh my hell! You're on late-night comedy because of your stunt! Humiliations galore. So anyway, this year, the big thing was bird flu, as it carried over from last year. And so now influenza is taking the nation by storm with the storm. And even Utah, all of the children's hospitals are full up. But instead of kicking out kids, which, what the hell would you do that for? Sorry, no room in the inn for sick kids. Yeah, they're overflowing to capacity as a result to treat all of the Utah Mormon kids who have got we're down with the sickness, creeping death. And so pay attention. The exact same pattern for 2020. How weird. We even got the drought coming. I mean, yeah, we had that snow over the weekend, wasn't it? But still, not enough. Not enough. Not enough. So, yep, being called to work again. Yeah, you got to come into work. You need to work overtime. Supposed to be in Zion. Supposed to be in my retirement years. Mormons! It's your fault. So, yeah. And the big news that is creeping in. And it's weird because I did the video not too long ago talking about how the federal government's supposed to be shut down. And every year we have the financial budget that Congress keeps kicking the can forward over and over again. And I thought, well, if this is going to be the big show, since you failed in 2020 and 2021, well, why not shut down the government, especially under Biden, to show that nobody should vote for Harris, because look what they did. They shut down the government. And it would fit right into their plans, because that's what Trump is doing. He's going in with Musk and gutting the federal government, kicking out everybody, an exodus of federal agents from all departments. You know, they got Hegseth, is that his name? Who's also going after the Pentagon now. And so, yeah, they're doing a purge of employees. The Pam Bondi AG gutting the Department of Justice and the FBI. Everything is getting gutted. And so this is a federal shutdown. So why didn't MAGA shut down the government last year with the financial bill? Why did you kick the can into Trump's administration? It seems weird, because they could have shut down the government, and then Trump takes over and then says you're all fired for being laid off. And then he just redoes it the way he wants it done. And instead, MAGA didn't do that. And so now Trump is having to deal with issues of judges saying, you can't do this. Yes, I can. SCOTUS gave me the green light to do whatever I want as president. And so now the kicking the can down the road for the financial bill is the 14th of March, next month. And Democrats are already talking about getting revenge on Trump for doing what they knew he was going to do. And it's, oh God. Don't even get me started. They're going to shut down the government. That'll teach Trump and put a stop to all this nonsense of shutting down the government. They'll shut down the government instead. Democrats are doing exactly what Trump wants. They're just fooling their followers into thinking that all is well in Zion. Just sick and wrong. So yeah, I expect the federal government to fall as prophesied in 3 Nephi chapter 7. Alrighty. So, for the rest of our time, we'll catch up on Child Faith's latest comments. Do a comment reply video for the end. This is from the 2019 Articles of Incorporation, excommunicated, all ... I think that's even a prerequisite video, because it goes over the Articles of Incorporation of how the church is pulling the con on America and not just Mormons. It's back to being a church, baby, after being dissolved by the United States of America. Fruit of the poisonous tree. We just need somebody to get to Shelby to file a friend of the court brief that says, hey, section 119 says that tithing's not a donation, it's the law. Hope that's done pretty quickly, because it's already been 3 weeks and no ruling from Shelby yet. So, gotta do it soon. Sooner the better. Hint, hint. I can't do it. State of Utah made it so that I can't do anything now. And so, yeah, after 2020, they don't allow me to petition the government for redress of grievances. Nope. You are banned, Travis. No justice for you. Come back never. So, is it really well established that if tithing is a law, child of faith, do you not have your Doctrine and Covenants? Have you not read section 119? Come on, what's with the ifs again? Rather than a donation, it would dissolve the entire organization. Yes, because it's a crime. There are a whole bunch of federal laws that Trump is doing away with. Even in the state of Utah, there are state laws that the church is violating. And yet, because the laws were created by Mormons, they don't see it as being violated by the church. It's just like when the Bible was banned at the schools here in Utah. Somebody retaliated by requesting the Book of Mormon be banned for its porn. And then the legislature finally stepped in and said, hold on there. This is going too far. Not when the Bible. Nope. Book of Mormon. Yeah. And so, yeah, the state of Utah does not acknowledge crimes of this church, even though it's blatantly obvious, because they go after the other branch offs for their equivalent crimes. Never the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for their equal crimes to a far worse degree. And so that's why so many abominations happen in this state. And so, yes, tithing as the law turns all of what this church does financially into a crime. And I've got that list here on the notebook. You were around with my notebook, right? This is how, these are the dangers of porn that the church claims. Activates the frontal lobe. It's addictive. Looking and masturbation. Harms children. Murders like COVID. Good old Holland, always good for a laugh. Destroys the family. Eyes dilate. So somewhere in here is the whole long list, which I think is a couple of pages, of every crime of tithing. Seriously? There's psychological name calling. I was sure it was after that. It is. There it is, tithing crimes. Got a whole bunch of loose papers that need to be written in. Tithing crimes. Tithing crimes. 51. I even numbered them. So, all in section 119. It is a protection racket. It's priestcraft. It's a prostitution money for a wife and to have sex. It's sex abuse, forcing abstinence when our natural bodies say we can't just turn it off. Trafficking, child trafficking, slavery, child slavery, and then sex trafficking and child sex trafficking can be included in that, which, yeah, there it is, 15 and 16. It's afterlife placement extortion. It's your dead ancestors' afterlife extortion. It's a hostage abduction ransom money. Children, wife, afterlife placement extortion. It's an insurrection against the United States of America. It funds terrorism. I should separate those. It's the Judas Prize to betray Mormons with. It's compromat, which compromises our government leaders as well as others. It's a Russian term for compromise. Sex trafficking, IRS fraud. It's incitement to commit crime. It's threats to pay or be punished, even murdered. It's insurance fraud. And the video I did yesterday, that it's to evict you from Utah when they get their kingdom back. It's not being registered as a foreign agent. It's bribery, it's judicial process tampering, it's government benefits violations, of theft, just like with SNAP of Warren Jeff's church. Mormons do it too, who are on government benefits. Compromising of government offices and agents, judicial tampering, extortion racket? Protection racket. It's somewhat the same. Land grab. Getting their kingdom back involves a land grab. That's why there's so many temples in Utah. That's why they stopped China from buying up land in Utah. SEC violations. That one made national news. And neglecting of the poor and the needy, because tithing's supposed to be for the poor and the needy, but not in section 119. It's scripture revisionism, theft and fraud, financial exploitation. It's a Ponzi, pyramid, MLM scheme, whichever scheme you want to call it. I don't want to call it a scheme. I'm sorry. If you do the actions of the scheme, it is the scheme. If it talks like a scheme and it walks like a scheme, it's a scheme. The press are compromised. It involves psychological manipulation, as the church gets psychologists to enforce it. Family services, destroying your family, one family at a time. It's hostage taking. Plus kidnapping. It's terrorism, insurrection, not getting repeated. Miseducation, disinformation, recruitment, propaganda, testimonials, causing trauma, and then victim blaming those who've been traumatized, financial leveraging, election tampering, government bribing, similar to compromising, dead ancestor, hostage abduction, also repeating. So this needs to be revised. Loyalty payments. Okay. So, there you have it. Forced me to bring it out of retirement. Everything is a crime. Everything. We'll add homelessness threat for the inheritance part. It's not exaggerated. There's a law code for all of those. What are the reasons for the dissolution of the church in 1887? It was criminal. They violated the laws of the United States of America. And thanks to Edward, with Edward was 2019. Stanford was the 1851 Articles of Incorporation. And so Stanford, by presenting the 1851 Articles of Incorporation of the state of Deseret, by the territory of Utah Governor Brigham, they were still doing secret acts against the United States of America. And so the United States of America, in the 1890 version, knew that they had been insurrectionists. Talking about the 1851 Articles of Incorporation, that they continued to maintain, just had a vote saying, oh, well, we'll take this false Articles of Incorporation and just approve it for the state of Utah. For the territory of Utah. That's what the 1890 was talking about. And so 1887, the Edmunds-Tucker Act is signed and appointed in law. And so 3 years later, there's a lawsuit to stop it, and it failed. And then there's the Romney one also failed. And then the Reed-Smoot hearings in 1900, because the church was still violating the law. They will not stop. They never stopped violating the law. And so the 1923 Articles of Incorporation was for a corporation claiming that the religion was still in existence, denying that it was dissolved. And so what Edward exposed with the 2019 Articles of Incorporation is that Nelson pulled the little, is it bait and switch? Because that was in the news for what Trump is doing by the deep state Dems. It's a form of fraud used in retail sales, but also employment. Let's see, in other contexts. First, the merchant baits the customer by advertising a product or service at a low price. Then, when the customer goes to purchase the item, they discover that it is unavailable, and the merchant pressures them instead to purchase a similar but more expensive product. Sort of. For Mormons, we are tricking people into joining the church and making them believe it's cheap, and then once they become a member of the church, then there's the whole temple thing. You got to pay for your underwear, and you go to church. They want you to wear suits and nice dresses. And then especially on your mission, you got to buy the whole kit for the pyramid scheme. You have to pay for it. They don't give it to you. And so then you go out and you recruit for other people. And so, yeah, it's expensive. Then you have to buy underwear. And so, yes, many Mormons have holy underwear because it's so expensive. You can keep them up and running until you get a bishop who threatens you to pay money for new underwear and not have them holy anymore. It's very expensive to be Mormon. And so, yes, that's why the church hates the poor. That's why tithing is not for the poor. Purposely doing that. And so it's not quite, but with the federal government, it's not quite, but the church pretends that the church is religious for the 501c3. But if, like the SEC, when they investigated, they found out, oh, okay, you are committing crimes. And so, yes, there are some extra added expenses that they were not being truthful with. And so it would be another term. I'm just not able to come up with it at the moment. And so, yes, it is a dummy corporation that Heber J. Grant incorporated in 1923. Because there is nothing to it. It's just a place to collect money. That's all they're for. And so Nelson, by saying, okay, this dummy corporation is now the religion. Corporate soul. Fruit of the poisonous tree. You can't do that. It's illegal. And it's even more hilarious that they're claiming the church as the corporation, the church, as a religion, has no members. So you can participate by paying, but you have no authority, you have no vote, you have no say in the church. Oh, they scammed you big time. Just incredible. Okay, how does a church get dissolved and comes back? Well, it got dissolved for committing crimes. You come back by having in your articles of incorporation that you are not going to be committing crimes. They failed. And they got away with it because they did it in the state of Utah in 1923. So Mormons were in the jobs for this to happen. So the Notary Republic, yeah, he was a member of the church. The courthouse, where they would file it, or the governor's, whatever, wherever you have to file it with, Mormons were working those jobs. That's how Heber J. Grant got away with it. This was all illegally done as a secret combination, using Mormons to get it passed. And so the Mormons will look at it and go, yeah, the church still exists, it's true. Approved. He's my president and CEO. And so it's not legal, but that's how it was supposed to be legal. They're using the cover of the legal processes, which Stanford also provided for the 1923 laws on how to legally form a corporation for a religion. But again, the church was dissolved, and Heber J. Grant ignored that. He ignored that the church got dissolved in 1887 and then reaffirmed with the courts in 1890, and then again with the Romney suit, and then again with the Reed-Smoot hearings. He just ignored the government. We're a church. We're always a church. We have not been taken from the earth. The priesthood still remains. It has not been amended. They just deny. As the leader of the church, they denied the laws of the land. This utter rebellion and defiance, just like the Bundys. Exactly like the Bundys. And the Allreds and the knowing they have done it many times in the past, what will stop them from coming back after tithing, making it get dissolved again this time around? Well, that's why I pointed out to you Harold B. Lee and the 2019 talking about how they're going to take the money and run. If the United States dissolves them, they're going to take the money and run, just like the big pharma company of family members who, when they lost the lawsuit and had to pay up, they just laundered the money into their family accounts. Said, oh, the business went bust, it's bankrupt. No money for the victims, sorry. And so then the government had to then sue the family members to try to get the money back. I don't know what happened, if they were able to get the family to pay up. I think they did. I think I remember that from not too many months ago. But yeah, that's exactly what they describe in their articles of incorporation, is that upon the winding down and dissolution of the corporation, we're going to launder the money to a designated entity so that Mormons get screwed. And with the knowledge that they're trying to get their kingdom here in Utah, this is why they're hoarding the money and buying up land. But they have the knowledge that what they are causing is likely to have blowback on Utah, because Section 119 says they're kicking out the apostates who aren't paying tithing. Only tithe payers are going to be allowed in Utah. You have to have a temple recommend to live and buy and purchase in Utah. Everybody else, get the hell out and they will murder you. American Primeval. 1838. Danite war against everybody, even Mormons. And so if the United States does come in and shut down the church again and destroy all their works as an enemy coming in as a thief in the night, according to prophecy, the church launders the money to a designated individual or individuals who flee the country. And then after the destruction of America with the fall of the federal government, they then come back. Here we are, church is true, we've never been dissolved. The other option is what they're doing now, using cocks on the front lines to lie to federal officers, saying, we're complying, we're doing one token criminal per week. Trump wants everybody out. That's why he stopped the refugee programs. No more refugees getting citizenship protections. You're out. Every refugee is out. They're supposed to go. They can't stay anymore. Trump says, no, get out. Illegals, he's shutting that down. No more going through the process to get citizenship in America. You don't have money. You didn't pay. That's what he wants. White people immigrating to America who are rich. And so everybody who is undocumented, who is here illegally, who's of a family that has undocumented, you've got to make a decision. Do you go with your family members who are undocumented, or do you get booted out with them anyway? Or do you separate your family? And it's the parents that are undocumented, as the mother is the one who has the baby in America, according to the 14th Amendment, Section 1. Born to become a citizen. And so Trump is trying to do away with that for that specific reason. That those mothers who came to America undocumented and had their baby here is an illegal operation. And he's trying to put a stop to it so that everybody get kicked out, even the kids who are citizens, because he's claiming it was done illegally. And so they don't belong here. He is purging America. He does not want America to be as the Statue of Liberty says it was to be. It is white nationalist, Christian nationalist, supremacist, evangelical. Everybody else out. And so Utah, by Cox saying, yeah, we'll conform and comply to Trump. And then he came out and said, well, yeah, we're first going to go after criminals. And you're seeing that in the news. The different states are saying, yeah, we're going after criminals. That's not what Trump asked. It's not what he ordered. Everybody who is undocumented, who are claiming refugee status, asylum, you're all out. And nobody's wanting to acknowledge that. Nobody's wanting to do that. That's why the debate, is Trump happy or is he not happy? Because right now they're only covering in the news those who are criminal, except for the Native Indians. They have to leave now too, apparently, because they're undocumented as citizens. This is what is very concerning. And so Governor Cox, he's trying to keep the undocumented in Utah because it's for the church. Over 600,000, over 400 of which are at the BYUs, the church's schools, which are number 8 on most favorite places to work, as I found out yesterday from an email. Nope, Mormons were threatened to say that, and it wasn't enough. And so yes, you get missionaries who are undocumented. They got to go too. They cannot stay in America. The church can no longer bring outsiders and claim a religious visa. So bye-bye leaders of the church in the apostleship, in the 70, in other areas working for the church. If you are not a legitimate, born and raised white American citizen, you're out. Nobody seems to understand this. And so, yeah, it's just, Trump is allowing this to be dragged out. But that's what he ordered. If you are undocumented, you are illegal, and you're a terrorist, you gotta go. Doesn't matter if you're a kid who's got illegal birthright citizenship, or if you've been waiting for over a decade because of the slow process for citizenship. And so those on DACA, you got to go. You're not getting it. The fear is not sticking because Trump is backing off. And so something will have to happen for Trump to then claim, see, you should have listened to me, and then he goes full force again. So, as long as there are continual deportations, I guess he's pacified because it's a process, but still. Eventually, he's going to demand that, hey, what are you stopping for? There's still more that need to go. Because those in Congress who are terrorists got to go. Jayapal, Omar, got to go. You're terrorists. Go back to Egypt or the Sudan. Gaza's the 52nd state. So yes, that's why he talks about only American citizens and Israelis in his Riviera. You're not understanding it. You're in denial of what's going on. And the news is not helping the matter. All right. So then you repeated the question, and then we end with 1923. They create a corporation. What's next? An NGO? LLC? Yeah, they've got the LLCs. That's the whistleblower. He's from Ensign Peak Advisors. The LLC only for tithing. That is their whole criminal operation. As we learned from Canada and from Australian press of the fuller operation that they're doing. That Nelson came out after the whistleblower in December 2019 confessing, yeah, we do this with every single source of income. So the church has several dozen sources of income, not just tithing. There's fast offering, there's the mission fund, the temple fund, there's the philanthropy, charities, the giving machines, there's the ranch and the farms, and there's many other sources, distribution center even. All of those generate money. Some more than others. All of the BYUs generate money. And so what Nelson confessed to, with what we learned from the press that were complaining from other countries, is that they have a source that generates revenue, that has a bank account with Zion's Bank that it all comes into. They then take 10%, following the pattern of tithing from Section 119, into an LLC corporation. That LLC corporation does not follow the 501c3. Church claims, well, the original one does, so therefore it does by extension. No. But that's what the church is trying to claim, is that the IRS had worded it such that we can say that, yeah, we can do this. No. Because the LLC companies have to file their own separate 501c3. They just want to violate the law any way they can. And so those LLC companies just invest the money to get more money. That's all. Stock market, other ways to gain interest and further money from investments. And so that's where Nelson is talking about twisting the parable of the talents to only focus on money. That's not what the parable is talking about, you dumbass. And the whistleblower himself says even the IRS does not allow for the hoarding of money for an LLC company if you're going to be a tax exempt status. It has to be used for charitable purposes as specified in the filing with the IRS, the paperwork, in order to qualify. And so the remainder of the money does not stay in Zion's bank. Australia informed us that the church takes the excess money and launders it into an offshore bank account in a non-extradition country. And so, to give you an idea of how this works with tithing, you've got 10% into the LLC company, Ensign Peak Advisors. 10% is, last we heard, which would be different now, would be more than $250 billion. So we can even say, okay, maybe 300 billion as of last year. 300 billion is only 10% of the total tithing revenue. Now, granted, a lot of that was investments in the stock market and other stuff to puff it up. But still, that would be $3 trillion into the Zion's bank account for tithing. This is just tithing that we're talking about. Dozens of different sources of revenue following this same process. And so the LDS charities, for example, they bragged about having 2 billion. Well, that's 20 billion that they received. Well, no, 2 billion for the main bank account, and then they would have done 200,000 into an LLC company, if my math is right. And then the reserve that they didn't spend, even though they're claiming they spent all 2 billion of it. And so you can't really trust them, because what they could be saying is that they spent 2 billion for that purpose, which means that the total amount would have been more, and that the 10% would have gone to an LLC company. So we may not know the actual amount. And so when you get a bunch of rich people who are donating billions of dollars to it, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or millions of dollars, did I say thousand? It'd be 100 million, wouldn't it? Oh my God. You then see why they're putting up a front, but then hiding the real wealth from you. And so, as the whistleblower said, the total costs and expenses to run the whole church is about $5 billion every year. And so if they can get every single source of revenue to have more than $5 billion every year, see how much they're neglecting the poor. And so you're looking at tithing, which doesn't spend $5 billion. It spends far less, because it's only for what tithing gets used for. And so we find out tithing gets used to pay the Judas price to our enemies to destroy America so that the church can get their kingdom back. It's being used to pay the leaders of the churches priestcraft paychecks, for which they then launder the money back into the tithing amount. Unless there's another revenue source that they use for the paychecks. But they aren't telling us. They're keeping it all a sacred secret. And so, yeah, that is the process. And so, adding them all up together in the offshore bank accounts, we're looking at numerous trillions of dollars that they are hoarding. And so that's why the lawsuit, if it's approved by Judge Shelby, is going to be way insufficient. Because if for some reason 17 million, probably be 18 million for those who left the church, and then let's round it up to 20 million. 20 million. And so if we say 2 million, to make the math easier, 2 trillion, I mean. So that would be 1% or 10% is 200 billion. 1%, 20 billion. 0.1 is 2 billion. 0.01, 200 million. And so it's 0.001 for the 20 million Mormons. Each Mormon would get 0.001% of the 2 trillion as restitution. And so that's not 20 times 20. So it won't be 20 million. And so I'd have to figure out the math to figure out how much each of us would get. So I guess it would be pretty much easy. It'd be 0.1 that we would get. That's 2 trillion. And so 100 billion? That doesn't sound right. 10 cents maybe. And so yeah, the damage cannot be restored equally. There would be no way to do it legally. And so I don't know what they're thinking with doing this. It needs to be transferred to somebody who can run it correctly and actually have it be used in accordance with the laws of the land. And that's what I'm hoping would be done so that I can get you to Zion. So anyway, that's it. Trump Ice 2025.